Hey everybody. Okay, last time we did a first cut of this scene of the two kids in this living room scene. All right, now what we're going to do is undo everything we just did, and I'm going to show you what you should have done before you actually started editing. Because we have these recordings, which are some audio recordings from a video from an audio recorder that's better than the video camera that I was using. And then we have the footage from the actual camera, which has the on-camera microphone, which isn't as good. So what we need to do is link up the audio to this video. And there are two different ways we can do that. We can either place all of these video files on a timeline and then link them together, or we can create a new timeline for each clip. Now, I am going to show you first how to do it from doing it with each clip, and then we'll do it all on one timeline, so you can kind of get an idea of two different ways. All right, so let's begin with creating a new timeline based on one of these movie clips. Okay, so what I first want to do is kind of show you how you need to figure out which of these audio files goes with which of these video files, because we have more video clips than we have audio clips. So first of all, if you double click on 0597, this is junk shot that didn't actually record anything. So you can be like, I think I kind of, oh wait, just kidding. Let's see. Yeah, we didn't actually end up rolling anything there because I was doing some experimenting to figure out like why my camera wasn't recording. So you shouldn't actually have this clip. All right, so let's double click on this one, and we've set in and out markers on all these clips because we've been looking at them. We are going to need to get rid of all those. So a good way to do that would be to right click here and then clear in and out. Now, I think you can do it here also, clear in and out. So let's go down all of these. Let's try selecting the rest of the clips and selecting, right clicking on it, and nope, I thought I'd be able to clear in and out on all of them real quick. So let's just go down each one of them and do that really quick. Just clear the in and out points. That way we'll be working with the entire clip. Clear in and out, clear in and out, clear it, clear it. All right. Now I'm going to open up this first one, get my playhead back to the beginning. So just so you know, you don't have to grab this playhead and drag it all the way back. You can just click on it anywhere, or with that panel selected, you can just hit the home key. So now let's have a listen to what's happening at the beginning of this clip. We're rolling sound and camera, and we are doing, this is take one, and action. Okay, so now we have me saying this is take one and action. Let's double click on this one and listen to it. Okay, so that's not it. I actually rolled a few before. Okay, so that wasn't the real one. So clip 0077 is sound. All right, so we know that 0077 is going to coincide with clip 0598. So we can rename both of these EVA 1 077, and that would have them both the same. And then we're also giving the clips names so that they'll coincide with each other. So that would work also. So what I'm going to do now is create a new sequence, but because I've got a new sequence in here, here's another way to make a new sequence from the clip. Now that I've renamed it, I'm going to bring it down here and drag it down onto the icon for a new item, and it'll create a new sequence called EVA1. Okay, and now I can go grab my audio called EVA1 and put it right there. Now expand these down, grab the intersection in between the two tracks and grab that down so you can see all these spikes in the audio. One thing about the audio for this is the audio recorder was set at a really low volume, and it's because just in case anybody screamed or made a really loud noise, it wouldn't go too loud. But because of that, everything's actually quite soft. So one thing you can do, and I'll show you this in just a little bit, is you can take all of this audio into an audio editor like Adobe Audition, and you can increase the volume of this so that these peaks will be bigger and more like this, more like these peaks. See how big they are? But basically what we're doing is we're finding a place where these peaks match up so that we could sync the audio to the video. So here's my action, and then here's some footsteps. So what we want to do is trim this back so that we can go in here, and on this playhead right here, I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to make these line up right here. Now with audio, if you notice, as I drag this along, it moves in like one frame at a time, okay? But you can actually go with audio and do audio on the subframe level. And just to show you how to do that, you click on this and you select show audio time units. And that turns it from frames down into like milliseconds on the sampling level. And then you can go in here super, super close and make really, really precise changes to the timing of the audio. And then you can go back here and turn it back into non-audio units. Because if you try to scrub audio units, it'll just take forever and ever, and you'll never make it anywhere. So anyway, I'm going to zoom back out and just take a look at these little foot marks right here. This is probably even better. See, let me go back to audio units so we can really get that in close. I'm going to put this playhead right here on this peak, and I'm going to move this over until they sync up. Now, once we get these in, we aren't actually going to edit with both of them together. The audio for the audio recorder, even though it's really dim, it's still a much better quality audio recording than the one in the camera, because I was actually holding the camera and making a bunch of noise with my hands in the camera. So now what you can do is just mute this, and that'll leave this one on. Now what you have is a timeline that matches the EVA1 clip. So if we want to, we can go back to our missing LOL edit, and we can now stick this down in here into the timeline, and it's the same clip, but it's using the audio. So if I double click on this here, it's playing back the audio instead of the audio from the camera. It's playing it back from the video, or from the audio recorder. Okay. Now this audio isn't really necessary because it's synced up, but hey, you know, you don't want to destroy what you have in case you do want to go back to the camera. You can keep it this way. So that's one option. The next option would be to create a new sequence of all of the audio clips, and then you would put all of the audio and video together on one timeline. So let's try that. Let's go to this is a junk clip. We know that, right? We don't actually need that anymore. So I'm going to just delete that out of my project. And then also these first two audio clips, those are junk. We're not ever going to use those. So I'm going to delete those. Okay, so we can keep going with EVA 1, EVA 2, EVA 3, EVA 4, but I'm going to call this multiple, or audio sync. So I'm going to just drag this next clip down. Actually, I'm going to drag all of these down to this. And that will put all of them on a brand new timeline. It's naming it MVI 0599 because that's the first clip to go in there. But really, we can rename this now and call this audio sync. And now we go in here and sync up the audio. So if I want to, I can now also grab all these audio clips and put them on the timeline below. Now we're going to have to edit every single one of these so that they match up. So let's make this bigger so I can see it easier. I'm going to zoom in here and see these peaks. These are kind of matching up nicely. So one thing I could do is hit my C for my cut tool, select this clip, get rid of it, and now sync this up. Okay, so now that's synced up, and you can double check it to make sure it sounds good. So if you push play,
nope, it was right there,
and it's pretty much synced up, like it sounds good. If it's not synced up, then you'd hear something like this.
Nope, it was right there.
Hear that echo? So I know that's synced up, and now what I'm going to do is trim this back here, trim this back here. Okay. If you're going to do this, you are now with this stuff, you're going to now need to copy this and paste it into your Missing LOL timeline. So in this case, what I would do is select your audio and video, your original clip, and then hit Command L. And what that does is unlink this audio from the video. So it's like, remember before when I was saying, if you want to select only the audio or only the video, then you have to hold down Option in order to select one or the other. Well, if you hit Command L, then it will unlink the audio from the video so that whenever you select one, it only selects one or the other. So now you can delete the audio and then I'm going to move this audio clip up, select both of them, and then hit Command L again, and it will now take this audio that was recorded from a separate source and link it to this video clip. Now, when I cut it, it will cut both that audio and video. So there, it's as though those were recorded together now. All right. So let's redo this one more time. Well, I lied actually. We're going to do this more than one more time. But you can see with these audio waveforms down below where these are going to sync up. Now, if I had recorded this with a slate, it would be even easier because we'd have a large clicking sound with a really defined peak that we could sync this up to. But this will work just as good. So I'm going to put my playhead here and see that these peaks are lined up really nicely. Now, here's a navigation tip. You don't have to zoom in and zoom out every time you want to do something. You can, or every time you want to like navigate out and go to the beginning of a clip, you don't have to zoom out, select over here, and then zoom back in. Your up and down arrows will take you to next edit points. Okay. So now I can cut this one to the beginning of this clip. Trim it to the end of this one. So I'm just going to hit C, cut that, V to select it, select the next clip over, hit the delete key. And now, just to be quicker, I am going to option select the audio of this one rather than selecting it, hitting Command L. I'm just going to select the audio, delete it, and then drag this up here, select both of those, by dragging a box around the both of them and then hitting Command L. Now they're linked together. All right. And just to make sure, I'm going to push spacebar to play it back, and I can test it to make sure that when she comes in and says something, that it'll be synced up.
Kai, have you seen my LO collection?
Okay, so that looked good. Continue that process all the way down. To the end, I think.
Sorry.
Right. Now, if I want to make an adjustment that's one frame, see this right here? This actually needs to be right there. So I'm going to, with my audio selected, type -1 on your keyboard and then hit enter, and that'll slide that over one frame.
Sorry.
Okay. So I'm going to hit up. That's already trimmed to the beginning, looks like. Then I'm going to hit down to go to the end, trim this here. Options select this, delete it, move this audio file up, select both of those, Command L, link them together. All right, so now I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to find where this one's going to sync up. There's the nope, probably. We got some footsteps here, probably. Nope, that's me handling the camera. And action.
No.
All right. Right there. That's the... So this is right in between frames. This really should be right there, but the next frame over is right there. So it's like in the middle. Now, half a frame is not usually enough to worry about, but if you were to try and get these two audio clips to play together, then you would need to go to the audio time units and subdivide this frame so that they could sync up exactly. Okay. Now, again, this is more precise than you need to be for this project because we're just replacing this audio with this audio. So I'm going to go back to not show audio time units. I'm going to unlink these two, select that audio, delete it, select this audio, bring it up, and then link these two together. Okay. So I have to do this 2 more times and then I'm out of audio clips. All right, let's go zoom in here a little bit, try to find the place where this syncs up. I'm gonna hold down Option. Looks like I trimmed that, deleted part of that with that. All right, rolling camera. Take 5 and action. -1. See, that's in between frames also. So if I type +1, that puts it a little bit too far. But I'm going to show you, I'm not going to do that subdivision this time. I'm just going to let that be right there. Put that right here. Going to Option delete that. Link those together. Okay, now I've got one more. There is a plugin from one of the plugin makers that will analyze all the assets that you've imported. Oh my gosh, I think it's Red Giant actually. Red Giant Link just told me to update some of my software. But they make a program called Pluralize that you just select all the assets in your project and tell it to analyze all the video and all the audio, and it will go through and do this for you all in one go without you having to do this manually. So I'm doing this the slow way because I need to teach you how to do stuff like this. But there are tools for automating this process. But this is my last clip. All right. Now, we have all of these clips on the timeline, and we can either go through and edit each one of these together. We can kind of piece it together by cutting these back and forth, or we can, well, basically you're going to have to re-edit this together. So let's go to the original one, this missing LOL that we've edited already, and just look at what shot we started with, 0605. So if we go to our audio sync timeline, 0605, we don't actually have an audio recording for that one. So at this point, we're better off to leave it with this shot right here. We'll just leave this dark. Over this part of the video, we will have some audio play. We'll have some titles up on the screen. And because this audio isn't terrible, we can go ahead and use it. Okay. And we might replace these footsteps in this shot, or maybe even some of these, with one of the other shots. So we can just extract that from any of these. So we can just grab footsteps running from any of these shots. All right. Now, so let's look at this. The next one we have, we don't have audio for, but the first shot that we use is 0598. So we can go into our audio sync timeline and look for 0598, which is, if we hit up, 0598. Did we not sync audio up for that one? Oh, it's this EVA 1 shot. We renamed it. So just for example purposes, if we had done an individual timeline for each one, then what you can do is see how this one's a sequence. If you right click on it, you can tell it to open in the source monitor, and that will allow you to set an in and out point just like you did before. All right, so I can hit I. Oh, or in and out. And then go to our missing LOL timeline. Now here's where the A tool, the track select tool, can come in handy. I want to replace this one with this one. And I can do that by, well, there's several things I can do here. Okay, but I'm going to teach you the track tool. The track tool, you can just grab everything. So I don't need to zoom out and see my entire timeline to know that this tool is selecting everything from here over. Okay, so I can just drag that off to the side, put this here, and edit this shot in the same way as I did that one. Okay, or with this loaded in here with this in and out point, because I'm going to be replacing this shot with this shot, I can right click on it and select replace with clip from source monitor. And if we want to, we can do a match frame, okay? Because we created the EVA 1 timeline from this same clip, you can replace the clip with the match frame, okay? And that's how you would replace, like, so let's say you were editing something together with like watermarked stuff from stock footage. If you wanted to come in and replace everything, you would double click on your asset, load it into the source monitor, and then you would replace it here. So this also is the proper sound.
Have you seen my LOL collection?
Okay. Now let me make sure that is actually. All right, so she comes in. It says Kai. So if I redo this, she comes in. Oh, that didn't quite work. All right, so here's the slip tool. So let's grab our slip tool, which is Y, and let's slip this back till she comes in and says Kai. Okay, remember how we cut on the arm there? Let's just slip it back. All right, so that's going to sound a lot better. Now, nice thing here is I can now double click on this EVA 1 timeline, go in here, and I can like add an effect, add an audio effect to make that sound better. I'm not going to do that quite yet, but I will say that I would probably prefer this method of having a new timeline for each one. If I'm going to go and replace all these shots, I'd probably prefer to have a new timeline for each one. But if I were starting this fresh, I would probably do the audio sync so that I could just go in here, look for the shot of Kai sitting up in her seat. And I would cut this, copy that, and then paste it onto my timeline. Now, in the ideal world, this would not have been edited before, but there we go.
Have you seen my LOL clip?
All right. So I'm going to go back through and I'm going to create a new timeline for each one of these. I'm actually going to go through and recut this entire thing using audio that's been synced together. And then once I'm done with that, I will show you how to do some effects on your audio. Actually, let me show you how to do an effect on your audio right now. And then, no, I'm just kidding. I told you the truth. I'm going to edit this together and then I'll be back to help you with your audio. Okay, just kidding. I'm changing my mind one more time because I'm going to assume that you've followed through every step that I've done and you've created these and you've created this EVA 1. But I also want you to be able to have the opportunity to sweeten all this audio before you do anything else with it. All right, so now we are going to make the audio sound better. And we're simply going to add an audio effect. So here's your introduction to the effects panel. So here's where we can find the effects. It usually shares a tab in the panel with the project panel, but these are all the different tabs. There's effects. Under audio effects, we'll do, there's all these different effects, and what we're going to add is a multiband compressor. Now, this is really just me being lazy and doing something that I know can be a quick fix. There are a lot of other things you can do to this to make it sound better, but for now, I'm just going to show you the multiband compressor. So let's go to the first clip on the timeline and drag this multiband compressor onto this audio file. Okay. Now, if you look at this really closely, this purple tab right here, or this FX tab, just turned a brighter purple, which means there has been an effect placed on this. And the way to, anytime you have your clip selected in your timeline, anything that can be changed effects-wise will automatically be loaded into your effects controls panel. Your effects controls panel up here shares space with the source panel. So if I click on that, even though this may not have been on the front, the effects were loaded into the effects controls panel. And there you can see the multiband compressor. So let's click on edit for the multiband compressor, and it brings up this fancy little box right here. One kind of like blanket multiband compressor I will do sometimes is this broadcast, and that will load a bunch of stuff into this preset that is really nice. And then what I can do is just go up here and add gain. So I'm going to go back to the beginning of the timeline and watch this. And if you have your audio meters over here, I'm going to change this so that I can see the decibels. For dialogue, you want your dialogue to be bouncing somewhere between -12 and -6. -6 would be your peak. So if somebody yelled even louder, that would bounce us closer to 0. But if most dialogue you want to be writing between -12 and -6. But right now, let me just turn this effect off at the moment. So I just turn that off. If you watch her talking,
Kai, have you seen my LOL collection?
she's bouncing up here around -24 to -27.
Nope.
Okay, so she says her next line.
Right there. And now I don't know where it is.
Okay, so it's really low. It's down at -30. So if I turn this multiband compressor on with the broadcast preset in there, let's watch the difference.
Kai, have you seen my LOL collection?
Okay, that got up to -15. So when you do gain, output gain, gain just works the same way numbers are. So if we're at -15 and we want to get up to -6, in order to get there, we would need to add 9 dB of gain in order to get it up there. So if I drag this up so that it turns to 9 dB of gain, then check this out.
Kai, have you seen my LOL collection?
See, that already sounds better. Let me listen to the next line.
It was right there. Right there. And now I don't know where it is.
Okay, so let's go. I just want to show you. I'm going to listen to the missing LOL timeline where she says that line.
There. And now I don't know where it is.
Okay, so that's a very different quality
There. And now I don't know where it is.
than the good microphone for the same line.
It was right there. Right there. And now I don't know where it is.
Okay, so that sounds a lot better. So as a first sort of blanket correction, I'm going to go with this multiband compressor for all of these to kind of level them all out to make them all sound pretty similar. And here's a really cool thing. If you right click on this, you can select copy. So you literally could just copy it. So Command C. But I can select the next clip on the timeline, right click on it, and then select paste attributes. And then this gives me all the things that I can do. So I don't have any settings on my video. I don't have any changes to my channel volume, my panner, my volume, or any of that stuff. The only thing that I've actually done to that previous clip was the multiband compressor. If there was other stuff in it, all those other things could be pasted to this as well. Or you can just select the one thing that you want to paste over, say. So select OK. And there it is. It loaded the multiband compressor in there. So if I select the next one, no multiband compressor. But check this out. If I select the rest of these clips and then right click, select paste attributes, there's the multiband compressor. Click OK. It just put that bright FX purple in the rest of those boxes. So now we can just listen to it.
Nope. It was right there. Right there.
Okay, so that's good. We're going to further increase the volume of this and level it out some more, but this will allow me to at least be able to hear it while I'm editing. All right, So I don't have that on this EVA 1 clip yet, but I'm going to paste it onto here. Multiband compressor, click OK, and there it is. So
Right there.
So everything from my audio recorder is now sounding a little bit better. You can do that same multiband compressor in Audition, and that will make, and then save them all again, and that would spike this up a little bit bigger. All right, now, do you remember how I created a single clip for this first one and then created multiple clips for this next one? Well, I can separate these out. So let's go to the audio sync timeline. I can separate these out into their own timelines really easily without having to resync them. If I just select this one and I right click on it and I say make subsequence or nest. Let's try nest. I know subsequence will make it. Nested sequence. We can call this one. Wait, hold on. EVA 2. Nest. Call this one EVA 2. And there's EVA 2 right there. Okay. So then I can create another bin and call it nested clips. So let me go here, collapse all those, new bin, nested clips. And these nested clips will all have, just put that in the wrong one, nested clips. And all these nested clips will have labels. They'll be named after who's in them. Okay, so this is a shot of EVA. So if I go in to each one of these now, this audio sync timeline, let's make sure I know who's in this one. Right click on it, select nest, call this one EVA 3. This one, nest. This one's Kai 1. This one is Kai 2. This one is Kai 3. And this one is wide shot. Okay. So what we've done is we've created new clips, new nested timelines with the audio and the video, and we can go now, instead of double clicking on these and having them come up in your timeline panel, there is a way to have Premiere automatically open these up in the source panel, but I much more often would want a sequence to open up in the timeline panel, so I'm not going to change that right now. All right. Now I can go through and I can re-edit my scene using the better audio. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now, and then I'll come back and we can further nest our comp and get our sounding even better again. So I'll be back. All right, so I cut this back together, and I only actually ended up replacing a few of the clips because most of them are going to be either covered up with background noise or a music track. So let's go ahead and watch this through.
Kai, have you seen my LOL collection? Nope. It was right there. Right there. right there, and now I don't know where it is.
Sorry, I just can't help myself.
Okay. So there are a few things we need to address. There are a few intersections that I need to smooth out. The first one is going to be this one. So you can hear, even though we have this L cut going here, there's a definite difference in the quality of the audio in between these two. It definitely changes.
Kai.
So one thing I usually would do is I would alt click on this intersection, and then you can right click and apply the default transition. And what that is just a crossfade, so that it over this little bit of time, it will change the sound. It'll do a transition on the sound, so it makes it.
Kai.
Okay, so this constant power is basically just like adding a cross dissolve. So this is your introduction to transitions. We'll get in more into transitions later, but a transition you can add to a clip by right clicking on it, adding the default transition. We'll also get into the keyboard shortcuts for transitions, but for audio purposes, if you add just a really, really short crossfade, sometimes you can cover up a really hard change in the sound quality, especially if it's not happening at the same time as a cut in the video. So next up we have this clip, which is just a blank clip.
Kai.
So that didn't sound too bad, but we haven't actually turned the volume up on this totally yet.
Kai. Have you seen my LOL collection?
So that we need to get rid of the sound on. So we can either delete this audio altogether or turn it down, but I'm going to delete it because I know we don't need it. This one we could possibly, because there's some rustling sounds happening, we could maybe add a couple of those keyframes to the audio and fade it up. So this clip has like an audio click in it from me. So maybe if I hit Y, I could just slide that over till there's no more click sound in it, because it's just a stationary shot.
Nope.
Now I'm going to try doing right here. There's the camera audio and then the good audio. And it's going back and forth. And maybe I want to clean that up.
Nope.
So, and we're also getting the end of her saying nope in this one. So I'm going to alt select that audio and delete it and see or listen to what I have underneath here. Okay, so I got a little bit of it there as well. So I'm going to alt click that, pull it this way, and actually alt option and drag both of those this way. And maybe I'll be able to use the recorder's audio underneath to cover up that shot.
Nope.
It was right there. Right there. Right there. And now I don't know where it is.
So again, here I might just extend this audio underneath it. And this is just to cover up like inconsistencies, adding crossfades so that anytime you hear kind of a rough sound in the cut of the audio, this crossfades and changing the audio and volume and stuff will smooth a lot of that stuff out. Now, I probably have a better sound of her feet on the floor from this wide shot. So let me go to the wide shot, open it up in the source monitor, and listen to it. So she goes here, starts to walk off. Definitely, because she also gives a little. So let's find where this frame starts. She's right there. There it is right there. So hit in there. Out. And the way I was doing this is I was dragging this down, holding down Option. Actually, you could do this. Dunk. And then cover it up. Okay, so maybe if I hold down Option and Command, I can roll this audio back here so that I get the from her. See, I like that better. And maybe if we just roll this all the way back here, we can use the whole thing. Actually, that sounds really good. And then we didn't roll from the good audio recorder on this shot.
Sorry.
But what we should probably do is, we know she starts saying sorry right here, so we should probably add the default transition to the audio here to just kind of smooth both ends of this out.
Sorry. Sorry. I just can't help myself.
All right. So that is the basics of just kind of getting smoother audio. Now, one really, really cool thing is you could take, when you're done with everything, now that all of this stuff is here, rather than trying to go through and make like individual audio corrections throughout this entire thing, you can, again, nest the edit. So you could call this missing LOL edit. And then you could put this in another timeline, nest all that stuff together, and call this final. Or master. I don't know why I'm calling it final. I never call anything final. Master. All right. And then add more audio filters to this to like make it even louder. So I don't know. Let's just watch through. Probably the loudest part is where she says nope, and that's at -3. So we could probably just turn our audio up to like 2, and that'll probably put it around 0.
Nope.
Or if we wanted to add more compression to it, we could just add another compressor, but that, I mean, it's not usually advisable to put another compressor on, but hey, let's just try it. Go up to my effects controls, edit, add that same default or that same broadcast one.
Nope.
Okay, that really pushed it up to 0, but we'll watch the rest of the audio. Watch the rest of the dialogue.
Kai, have you seen my LOL collection?
No. That's really accentuating the sounds of that bad camera. But the good microphone, it's making it sound really good.
Right there. And now I don't know where it is.
Okay, so
Just can't help myself.
sounds fairly good.
Sorry. I just can't help myself.
All right, so that was sweetening the audio in Premiere. there, just really briefly, I want to show you how to apply that same multiband compressor to the original audio in Audition. And you can do it directly from Premiere. So let me go over here to the LOL edit and go to maybe this clip. So if I right click, because I've pre-nested all of these clips, right? So if I right click on this audio, then I can go to edit clip in Adobe Audition, and it will open up Adobe Audition. It'll render out a new version of this audio so that I can go into Adobe Audition and change it. All right, so we have all this stuff going on. Okay, put it back there real quick. And we'll cut. I can go to, this is the waveform editor, okay? So this is just really, really high level. I can go into my effects rack, go here, click on amplitude and compression, multiband compressor, and that'll open up this familiar looking dialog box. Select broadcast, close that, and then if I hit apply, then watch what it does. See, that's what a compressor does, is it kind of takes these peaks and valleys and it tries to bring them closer by compressing them. And it sounds like it ought to be dimming the volume, but what it does is it actually, by bringing some of these lower peaks up to these higher peaks, it actually makes it overall sound louder. Okay, put it back there real quick. And we'll cut this part out. This is a good lesson. Okay, so pretend she just walked off.
I just can't help myself.
Okay, so now if I hit save here, save that file, I can quit Audition, come back over here and see how big these audio waveforms are now all of a sudden. But I have to be careful when I do that because I actually have, oh, never mind, it took that. Looks like it took that compressor off. And we'll cut this part out. This is a good lesson. Okay, so I'm going to go to my LOL edit to where she's talking.
Sorry, I just can't help myself.
All right, so that's one way you can get to where you can see your audio waveforms better. Because remember when I was in my nesting the audio sync timeline, now this one's nice and big. It doesn't have the compressor on it anymore, but see how these are all super small? I can do the same thing here. Right click on that, edit clip in Adobe Audition. I guess I could have left it open. It would open faster. I can go to my effects rack, add amplitude and compression, multiband compressor, the broadcast, apply it, save it, and then I come back over here and now it's bigger. Pretty cool, huh? And that's pretty awesome that Premiere is recognizing that I'm going, by right clicking on this and saying edit in Adobe Audition, it's smart enough to know that I'm going to do changes to this in Audition, and it should probably remove any of those effects. But that's actually creating new assets. It's actually rendering that out into new new audio files on your computer. So if I go to reload and project, it creates, so the original one was this 0081, and now it's 0081 audio extracted. So I'm able to change that in Audition. All right. So do your best to try and make your audio sound as good as possible. But yeah, so I added an extra, did I add an extra compressor? Yes, I did.
There, and now I don't know where it is.
All right. In future lessons for audio, we'll be able to learn how to change your background or reduce background noise and stuff like that. But the next lesson for this will probably be color correction or titles. Let me look at my calendar real quick. The calendar. Well, this is going to change. We're not going to do multicam. We did sound on this. This is just going to be sound. So next week will be color correcting and then titles. Yep, titles, music, and finishing. So cool. All right, I will see you on the next lesson, guys. Thanks.